Hello, this is Wayne with Tri County Locksmith Service. Today we're going to be installing a digital keypad lock, a new Schlage digital keypad lock, and putting that in place of this one here. Now obviously that one's silver, this one's gold. We're going to change all the hardware here, but the idea is to just go through the steps on a real door in a real situation, a real application, to see what it takes to switch out from a mechanical style lock to a digital one. One of the things that's really nice about this lock here is it's upgradable. You can upgrade it to work with a security system. You can integrate it into your smartphone. You can open and unlock this lock from your phone with the proper extra equipment. But it also works as just a standalone unit. Standalone simply describes that it's going to work even if it's not integrated into your home security system. It'll work just fine as a keypad lock. You can have codes, combinations, people can come and go, you can program it, you can change it, and all that's going to be self-contained. The other great thing about this lock is it doesn't matter if the power goes out in your house. It doesn't run off of anything but batteries. AA batteries run the whole system, so even if you lose power to the home, you can still come and go as you please or let somebody in to take care of that problem. So these are a really great way to go. So we're going to switch this one out right here. Camera back here. Removing the screws from the back. Lock in hand, lock in hand. And then here we'll remove the bolt by removing these two screws right here. Now this is a nice video to do because this is just simply replacing the mechanical one, so you're already going to have the holes drilled out. You're going to have the notches cut out in here. Everything's going to be mortised in and countersunk, and you're already going to have the hole for it to go into right there. This is a double plate unit. It already goes back into the 2x4s. It has large screws back behind this plate, so this is already a great plate setup. We don't even need to change that. We could if we wanted to, but it's not necessary right now. First thing I want to do is there's an instructional strip. This is just simply instructions on how to change the combination on your lock and how to change the programming codes. I like to put that right in there. There's no information in here on this about your lock. It's simply a way to just make sure you know how to program your lock. Grab the front and the face of the lock here. You have all your pieces out. This is the bolt right here. It should, on a normal residential door, come with a 2 3/8 back spacing. Okay, right out of the box. That means a residential is usually 2 3/8 back spacing. So as long as that's right in the center like that, this is perfect. This is set up ready to go. I'm just going to show you how to adjust it if you need the 2 3/4. You simply turn it and rotate it to this 2 3/4 spot here, like that. See how it says 2 3/4 right there? Now it's ready for a larger back set. That would be usually for commercial application. To go back to 2 3/8, it's indicated right there. Simply roll it back. It will indicate top right there. Slide that in, making sure that it's countersunk and mortised in right here, which it is. We're going to apply the screws to that. Always applying all the screws by hand. I highly recommend always using a good screwdriver. These are good Milwaukee screwdrivers. There's a review video on the webpage for these two. These are great. But if you use a drill, 9 times out of 10, you're going to strip these out, and then they're going to be useless. They're not going to hold as tight as they should. If you try and use a drill while putting the locks that hold the lock, or the screws that hold the lock together, you can damage something or bind something. So I always recommend just a plain old hand screwdriver. Okay, here we're going to have a wire and a tailpiece. The tailpiece is going to have a little notch on it. That little notch needs to go right inside there. So you're going to set it up to where your tailpiece is flat, like so. You're going to run the wire underneath. You're going to insert the tailpiece into the hole, like so. And then we'll come on this side. We're going to run the wire through this plate, like so. The round dimple here should be in. It should go in towards the lock, and these little flared edges should be out. That's how you're going to know that you have this lined up properly. These bolts or screws are going to go through here, through the latch, and all the way into the lock on the other side. I always like to make sure you're not cross-threading by rotating it backwards a few turns and then rotating it in. Just like so. Okay. Then we're going to pop this one in. I like to start it by hand just to make sure nothing's getting cross-threaded or nothing is getting misaligned in there. Apparently something hasn't lined up properly quite yet, so see, this right here is why you don't want to use a electric drill gun of any kind, because if I had to force that, it's going to strip these out. So I need to make sure and see what our alignment issue is here. Adjust, and then pop this in here. That's better. That feels good. Should be able to just roll these right in by hand. Just like that. That's how you know you've got a nice good fit. Perfect example on why you don't want to use an electric drill gun. You never know if they're lined up perfectly. If that would have been forced, they'd have been cross-threaded, and then you'd have a nightmare on your hands. So we'll just go back and forth, tightening slowly until you get a good amount of tension. Make sure the outside is lined up straight. Make sure the inside is lined up straight. You can use the edge of the door to make sure everything's lining up properly. And now is a perfect time to start making sure that the latch works very freely. Very, very freely. This is 100% key to this. This right here needs to work super free, and then it needs to work the same way in the door. It's the key to these electronic locks. So it should work. You shouldn't feel any more resistance rotating this back and forth while it's in the jam, in the door jam shut, than when it's out. You can see I get the same amount. Very, very easy. I can do it with my fingers. I do it the same way. That is the #1 problem with electronic locks, is people don't install them properly, and then they break. They fail prematurely because there's binding going on. All right, here. Next, we've got our lock back here. This is the back piece of the lock. This is where your batteries go. 4 good batteries, Duracell, Energizer, good brand name batteries. No cheapy batteries on these. It'll ruin your lock and it'll lock you out, and this won't be good. So always use high quality batteries. Change them once a year, like your smoke alarms, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. You'll be perfectly fine on this. This will be a great system as long as you use good batteries and maintain it. Now here we have this wire here, and there's a little dimple right there on this side. That is going to go right directly into that dimple on the lock to make sure they fit properly. That is going to be your alignment. To make sure you don't bend any pins. And it should go in fairly easy. And we're trying to line this in here. Just like so. So that's hooked up. Make sure your batteries are in. Next, this piece here needs to go directly onto the tailpiece, and the wire needs to go into this. Bring the camera around on this side maybe. That needs to go directly into there, otherwise there won't be enough clearance, enough tolerance for these tiny little screws to fit. Then it goes right onto the tailpiece, like so. And now this very teeny tiny little screw is going to go right here in the top. Very small little screw right there, like so. And that's what's going to hold this lock, the back piece, to the back plate. I want to strip that out just a little bit. Okay, make sure everything's nice and smooth, flat, flush. This other machine screw here with the round head is going to go right into there. And that is going to be what holds it there. This is the top cover. It just slides right over. One last screw, the last tiny screw, goes right in there, holds that on. This is where you change your batteries at, so it's just a simple one little screw to pop off. Make sure that everything's working smooth. Start making sure it's working smooth right now. That's very, very smooth. That's exactly what we need. No more resistance here than here. Okay? Now, it'll hand itself as soon as you push the Schlage button, like so. Then, in your paperwork that you have, or on the back of the lock, you'll have your combinations, okay? So the very first one, you'll have a user A and a user B. These come with pre-programmed codes, okay? So right now, right out of the box, 1493 will open up just like that. I'll go ahead and do it out here, I guess. So now when I go to leave the house, I push the Schlage button. That locks the lock. It's locked right now. Then when I push the Schlage button, it lights up. In case you're coming home late at night, low visibility, it lights up so you can see 1493. Now, obviously, I'm going to change that code to something else here in just a little bit. So let's come inside and see how to change the code. What it's going to give you is a programming code. There'll be a 6-digit programming code in your paperwork and on the back of the lock, so you'll always have it on the back of the lock too. First of all, you're going to lock that. Then it's going to come on. You're going to put in your programming code 802738. This light will flash. Add a code is number 1. I'm going to add 4321 just for fun and camera's sake, and then I'm going to do 4321 again. Double check means it's accepted. This over here, this dot, means you can go ahead and enter another code. You can enter up to 18 codes if you want to. It's not necessary, but you can. I always like to have family members coded in, and then an extra code just in case you need a plumber, or you're on vacation, or you need to let a neighbor or somebody in. You're not giving out anybody else's code or yours. You're just giving them a code that's already programmed in, specifically designed for that task. Now, if you want to change your programming code, you need to enter the current programming code, 802738. Light comes on. 3 is programming code. Now I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means it's accepted it once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means it has fully accepted it. Your programming code has to be a 6-digit number. If it's not a 6-digit number, it will not accept it. So these are just some dummy numbers that I programmed in here. Now you can see that we'll unlock the lock. Just like that. Push the button and it relocks. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is my programming code. Everything's entered into that. So that's the whole spectrum on how to set up this lock, how to take the old one off, how to add the new electronic in, and how to set it to a code that you want right out of the box. Now we'll go over the really cool part of this lock, which is that it takes a code from here. This is the Nexia bridge unit. Okay, it's made by Schlage. It's incorporated with Nexia, and basically what this does is, in order to make this lock work with your internet and your phone, you have to have this piece. Right now, with what we've done, this lock works as a 100% standalone unit. It works as a digital keypad lock by itself. Now we can add this to it, hook this up to our internet, and you're allowed to access your phone and change it and program it, or access your lock from your phone and change it and program it. Couple of things you'll need. You'll need an Ethernet connection. You'll need a 9-volt battery for right here. Okay, and you'll need a place for power. This needs to stay within a pretty decent range. It needs to be kind of in the same room and not have a bunch of things obstructing it. While it is wireless, it does need to be able to have a non-blocked communication with this. So pretty much anywhere in the same room here, this will be able to talk to it. Basically what you want to do is you'll have to program this on the internet. It's a $99 a year, I think, to get started with this. You have to have Nexia and their program, Nexia.com, and once you get this all lined out and programmed, then you'll put a 9-volt battery in here, which I can do. Program this, you're going to put your 9-volt battery right here, and this is going to give it it's going to let you take it away from power for a minute. See the blue light flashing? So you can take it over here, and basically you're going to let it talk to this lock. Right now you have a solid orange button. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not real well, but that button is orange. When you're adding this lock, you press the plus sign right here, and you hold it for 30 seconds. This light will begin to flash. Here, you'll push your Schlage button, you'll enter your programming code. Okay, it's blinking. You'll press 3 and 0. Now that means it's going to talk to this. That's how you program it into this, and now these two are talking to each other. That light's going to blink for a while. I'm going to let go of that. It's going to turn solid again. Now these two are talking to each other. Now you can log on to your personal Nexia site. You'll have a code to enter, a password. Now I'm going to hook this back up to my Ethernet connection. You got to have Ethernet plugged directly into your router, so you have to have a router to run this. Plug power directly into here. Now this is going to come back on. You can take your 9-volt battery out. It's not required anymore. Now I can log on to the Nexia page. It's Nexia Home. Right here, I can show you. It's going to come up. Nexia Home Intelligence. Okay. I'll click on that. They also have an app that you can download too, and then that'll bring it up directly on your phone, but this is one way to get in. You can do it on a computer, a laptop, smartphone, anything. I'm going to enter my username and password here. Logging in. Now I can come onto my phone after I've already had the appropriate account set up. Right here, it'll tell me. It tells me that my lock is locked, and it'll ask me if I would like to unlock it. Over here, it tells me my battery status, tells me all the other things that I need to know about this lock. Now as soon as I push this button right here, it's going to send a signal and unlock my lock without touching it. And it's going to keep that recorded. It's going to tell me that I did that from this phone. Who, what, when, where, and why. This system will also send you, you can program it to send you a text message to your phone to tell you who's come in. So when kids come home, if they have their own code, you can know when they've actually come in the door. I'll go ahead and right here from my phone, we'll lock it again. Sends the signal, and it locks it right up. I can also control many other things. I can add video monitoring, I can add lighting and modules, climate control, I can add all that with the Schlage and Nexia system, and control my entire house right here from my phone, anywhere I'm at. That's what makes this different from any other lock out there, is because they've integrated it with the #1 company, which is Schlage, and they've brought that into a great home security system. So that's how you set it up from beginning to end, going from mechanical in the past to the best of the future right here. Thank you. and go to www.tricountylocksmithservice for more videos, tips, and how-tos.